What's going on, guys? Motonosity here. Welcome back to the channel. We got a super exciting video today because we are putting a new exhaust on the R7. At least that's the goal. Now, you may have probably guessed that there's not a whole lot of parts available for the R7 yet. Like I told you guys, I'm working with Motivation on this build, and we're gonna be trying out a lot of the parts that are already made for the R7, the R1, the R3, and the MT-07, which this bike shares a platform with. From all of those bikes and the parts that are already made so far, there should be a lot of stuff that we can already put on this without waiting for companies to make aftermarket parts for. So that's what we're gonna do today, because an exhaust is something that this bike seriously needs. I'll link the video down below that I talked about a lot of the stuff that I didn't like about the bike and that I was excited to work on for this bike, and one of them was the exhaust, because I think just the lack of sound on this thing is what contributes to the feel that you have when you ride it. So I usually make a dedicated unboxing video for exhaust when I install them, but you guys are getting a special treat today. We are putting on, hopefully, I think it'll fit. I'm pretty sure it'll fit, but we are putting on, it is the SC Project CRT exhaust. And this is an exhaust made for the MT-07. Nothing special, there's nothing extra on this for an R7. It's just an MT-07 exhaust, and today we're gonna see if it fits on this bike. Cross your fingers. If you want to see any of the other videos that I made with this bike, I'll link both playlists to both the riding videos and the build videos. So if you find this later on, you can see all the other videos that have come out for this bike. If you want to get any parts for your motorcycle, not just an R7, but any motorcycle, you can check the link down in the description for Motivation. But let's go ahead, get this unboxed, and start getting to work. This is the same kind of exhaust that I put on my 2020 R1. So you guys should be familiar with this if you've been watching the channel, but I'm really excited for this. It's a great sounding exhaust, and I know that the MT-07 can sound really good. So the fact that this one doesn't sound good at all makes me really optimistic for how nice this thing is gonna be to ride after we've done this. So it shouldn't be too difficult. It never is, and the fairings on the R7 are actually pretty large. So you got this lower fairing, and you've got this large mid fairing on the side, and it's not broken up into a million pieces like it is on like the old R6. So it shouldn't be too difficult. We'll just take off these side panels, and we may not even have to take off the side panel. Yeah, we may just have to take off the lower fairings, and that should be it. Oh, before I do that, you guys want to see how this bike sounds stock, right? We can't compare how it sounds after the fact if we don't actually test out the sound. Magic of editing. I filmed it yesterday. Here's a sound test of the stock exhaust on the R7. Boring, right? Let's fix that. man, you're right. You're right. That's 10 pounds.
That's a big savings,
That's
man.
a lot. All right, so we're saving 10 pounds putting on the new exhaust, saving over the old exhaust. By the way, if you want to check out this exhaust, it'll be down in the description with everything else. But right now, I'm working on getting all this stuff lined up so I just know where everything goes before I put it on the bike. It's pretty simple to figure out where exactly everything goes. But yeah, so we got these two header pieces, which will attach to this piece right here. And then you've got the bung for the O2 sensor. And then from that one, you will connect it to this one. And this is the hanger that will mount at the rear of the bike. It may mount to the same place that the stock exhaust mounted to, underneath the bike. And then from there, you got the can that will mount right up to the rear. And then we've got all of our hardware. So I'm gonna start piecing everything together, and it should go on pretty quickly. All right, so just in case you were wondering where everything goes, you want to put on the little flanges. That's what goes, has the holes that goes around the studs. You put that onto the header pipe first, and then after that, there's cups, like little spacers that are gonna fit on the end of the pipe. Put that on, put it around the studs, just hand tighten, just leave it loose. We're not doing anything tight right now. We just want to get everything on, so we're gonna fit it all together. I think this is a success. I don't have the fairings on. I don't even have the muffler on yet. You know what? Let's go ahead and put that on real quick. All right, so that is on there. Full exhaust. I don't have all the springs on. By the way, put the springs on the header pieces after you put those header pieces on, because the issue that I had is they kept wanting to come out while I was fitting the rest of the exhaust. So put the springs on after you put those on, and then you can do the rest of it. Now that everything's fitted up, I can go ahead and put the remaining springs on and then tighten down the nuts on the studs for the headers. I don't think that we're gonna have any issue with fitment here. I think this exhaust is a perfect fit. Shouldn't have any issue, but we'll find out in just a couple minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and get those springs on, tighten everything down, then we'll put those fairings on. Now, the last thing that I'm gonna do before I put on the fairings is take off a couple of brackets that were needed for the stock exhaust, but were not needed for this exhaust. There's one on this side, and then there's one over here on the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those out. That'll take out this whole bracket, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. And then we can go ahead and put the fairings back on and do a sound test. There we go. All done. Oh, it looks so good. So only thing left to do right now is a sound test and then a first ride. But first ride of this with the exhaust will come in the next video. Fortunately, I can't do a sound test because it's been pouring. It's like flooding outside. Tomorrow, I'm gonna come back in. We're gonna do a sound test, magic of editing. You guys will see it right now. All right, new day, and we'll get to the sound test in just a minute, but I wanted to explain something for you guys. So this exhaust is for the 2014 through 18 or 19 MT-07. SC Project has a new exhaust that they have for newer MT-07s that they made minor changes to. And we think that that exhaust would actually work better. Obviously, you'd think so because this is a brand new R7, but they're not actually shipping that exhaust yet. So that's why we use this one, because they said that this still fits the new MT-07. They just made some minor changes to it. We think those minor changes actually would make this work absolutely perfectly. So I don't want to give you guys a false assumption that this is like a direct swap onto an R7 and it's perfect and there's no issues and this is what SC Project is gonna sell. But let me show you guys. So the first thing that we've got is the exhaust, which is very, very close to the swing arm, which isn't really an issue right now with it just sitting here. But if the suspension is ever uncompressed, the swing arm would actually go towards the exhaust and might touch it. The other area is on the underbelly, which of course the MT-07 doesn't have. The spring tab, which you guys can't see, but if you're watching the install in this video, you already saw it. There's a little tab where spring mounts between one of the header pieces and that Y pipe. And the tab actually touches the inside of this lower panel. This lower panel is actually made out of metal, which is interesting, but it's right next to the exhaust. Doesn't have any like heat shielding or anything like that. They just made a metal. Now, I don't think that would actually cause a problem. Everything as is, I would feel comfortable taking this out and riding it. But for those of you who might have an R7 and you're thinking about getting this exhaust, just wanted to make that clear that there are a couple areas where you may not love how the fitment is. So now that we have that out of the way, let's roll it out, do a sound test, and give some final thoughts. Oh, one more thing. Let's do some slow-mo and put on the logo.
That's loud. That's quite a bit better. I want to hear that again. Dude, that sounds like a real bike. MT-07s sound good. That's a lot deeper than I expected.
I'm not gonna lie, I was cautiously optimistic that that was gonna sound really good, and it definitely lived up to the hype. I hope it comes across on video, because that sounds really, really good. Tomorrow, sun should come out. I'm gonna come back, we're gonna test ride this thing, see how it sounds on the road, how it sounds on the GoPro riding. Should be pretty exciting. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you got post notifications turned on so you guys get notified when that video comes out. Put a couple extra washers where the tab mounts on the rear of the bike, and we have no clearance issues at all anymore. I will link the exhaust, so maybe you have an MT-07 and you want this for your bike. Maybe you have an R7 and you just don't care, you don't want to wait. Regardless, I will be updating you guys once we get the exhaust, the newer one. We'll put that one on, see if that solves all the problems. If you guys want to get any merch, Motonosity.com. If you guys want to get any parts for your bike, motivationusa.com. Link is in the description. Otherwise, you guys have been awesome. I've been Motonosity. Remember, life's better with horsepower. Keep life live. I'll see you guys in the next one.